welcome to second in a series of webinars that we are doing on mindful intelligence. My name is Sai Krupa Sagar. I'm the CEO of this company called Coherence, which is involved in building meditation apps and technology to take meditation and mindfulness to corporate environments. A quick background is all the founders. We have Raji here, and all the founders have been in corporate business for a long time. I've been at Cognizant for 17 years and quit as vice president. And we all found the benefits of meditation in our corporate careers. In the quest to bring those benefits or make those benefits widespread amongst all the corporate professionals and leaders is where we built this app called Be Super Mind. And we're going to talk about the app a little bit, but what it does is what is the focus of this webinar. Let me quickly share the presentation here. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about: mindful intelligence, how mindful intelligence is the silent edge in a sense, the advantage or the gain of leadership. And here is what we're going to cover today. Why mindful intelligence? What is mindful intelligence? How to cultivate mindful intelligence? And what is the choice in front of all of us? And then we'll have a little bit of Q&A before we end today's session with a short, brief 10-minute meditation. The last webinar, I just want a quick recap of what we covered in the last webinar. In the last webinar, we talked about elevated leadership. What do we mean by elevated leadership? We have these 3 levels of mindset, and leaders and professionals act, think, and make decisions from one of these levels of mindsets. Either they are acting from a sense of safety, comfort, belonging, not willing to take risk, which is a surviving mindset, or they are more achievement focused, outcome focused, and they are finite minded, they stand out, get ahead. They are also the striving mode, where they're always looking for rewards, that promotion, that achievement, that recognition, that posting. Or there are leaders that are operating from mindset 3.0, which is the thriving mindset, which is about contributing, about adding value, about thinking about others, getting the consensus of all the people, right? If you look at it, 64% of adults operate in the surviving mindset. Amongst the executives, one of the research studies talk about 85% of the executives or leaders operate from the mindset 2.0, while 8% of executives alone operate from a thriving mindset, who are amongst the top leaders today. And we also introduced this whole idea or notion of mindful intelligence. Mindful intelligence is basically we also refer to it as mindfulness in corporate world. That's what is mindful intelligence. And sometimes we also want to refer to it as, in the other, AI, awareness intelligence. It is intelligence that arises from being mindful. It is intelligence that comes out of being more mindful, being more aware, being at a higher level of consciousness while we operate every day. And we've defined these 5 attributes for mindful intelligence: present moment awareness, emotional regulation, cognitive flexibility, connected intelligence, and intuitive insight. We will look at one by one what it means in the lens of a corporate scenario. We'll cover different scenarios and understand each one of these, and then talk about how do we cultivate these capabilities. Today, all of us have come from leadership levels, and then we've all been leaders. And there are leaders out there who are today besieged with hundred emails, multiple meetings, multiple phone calls, multiple conference calls, and they're having to take hundreds of daily decisions, right from whether to hire someone or not, to making a decision about their calendar, to also making big decisions about acquiring a customer or thinking strategically. And their brain is so strenuous, it becomes so strenuous, and then they're pretty much exhausted by the afternoon. And the reality, several reports talk about this, is 76% of leaders report chronic stress. And average executive attention span is just 8 seconds because they talk to umpteen number of people, they are in multiple meetings, they have to think about what they need to speak in the next meeting before they walk into the meeting, right? And then today, most leadership happens on autopilot. That is where this whole horizontal skills come into play: communication, leadership, team management, all that. But nevertheless, all decisions, all the things they speak come from an inner sense of either tranquility or an inner sense of agitation or inner sense of anxiety, right? So what if the problem here, the leaders feel stressful. They think they are stressed out because of thousands of meetings, because of the uncertainties today. As we all see, a lot of geopolitical uncertainties out there, and there is business uncertainty. There's uncertainties due to technology coming up, right? And there are always the people problems, people issues, people not cooperating, two people not working together on the same team, right? So the problem, we think, oh my God, why are there so many problems? But the actual problem may not be the strategy, may not be the team, may not be the market, but it's our internal operating system. As our internal operating system changes, as we change inside, as we become aware of more about our inner environment, the outer environment changes, which is what we all discovered, which is what we're kind of trying to get to the corporate world in terms of mindful intelligence and the techniques that we're talking about. And our brain's operating system can work in two modes. Today, our brain operating system runs in like what I would call as a version 1.0, runs on autopilot 47% of the day, because we take the same decisions, we take the same things, we do things in the same manner all the time, right? And then we are reacting to situations, not responding because you don't have enough time. And stress also impacts performance. And we are using only a limited capacity of our brain, our intelligence at any point of time. But there is a version 2.0 in which all of us can operate on. We can operate in conscious awareness. We can operate by responding strategically. We can use stress as a creative fuel. And we can enhance our cognitive bandwidth just by emptying our mind. By emptying our mind, there is enough energy for us, our mind, our body has enough energy for us to work on creative solutions throughout the day. And this is what we call as the upgrade. We call it as the mindset upgrade or the mental operating system upgrade, and which is what is mindful intelligence. And why do leaders need this more than before? So earlier it used to be predictable markets, clear hierarchies, information was not as much available to people, so there wasn't too many decisions, too many asks from stakeholders. Whereas today, the market scenario has changed, the employment scenario has changed, the internal situations, expectations from stakeholders have changed, expectations from employees has changed. They are exposed to a wide variety of information thanks to social media and internet. And organizations are also become huge in terms of the multiple silo departments in large organizations. And people go through a very formal channel. They've lost touch of speaking to someone mindfully, speaking to someone consciously, speaking to someone empathetically, right? So that is why it's essential that we upgrade our operating system, upgrade the processor, let's not just add more programs in terms of add more skills on how to manage team, more skills on decision making, more trainings on communication, more trainings on or more offsites where you work together in teams, but when you come back to your offices, again, it's business as usual. So all those externally added things are not helping much, do not help much. They only add to the cognitive load. But what is important is emptying that inside and then elevating your awareness and elevating your mindfulness to an extent where a lot of these decisions happen automatically by you or solutions emerge creatively from outside. And there is enough science published around meditation and mindfulness. In fact, a Harvard study shows 8 weeks of practice increases our brain's cortical thickness by 25%. And another study that talks about how mind wandering reduces by 40%. And that results, what is mind wandering? Mind wandering is when you're not able to focus on a particular work. So when mind wandering reduces the focus, reduces the productivity that one gets out of by focusing on, by not being able to focus on one work. So mind wandering reduced to a 40%, and that means you're able to focus more on a particular activity and make sure it completes effectively. 50% reduction in stress hormones and 60% improvement in creative problem solving. So there are enough studies documented out there, and that is the science behind. This is all neuroscience-based studies. They measured the brain parameters, they measured your responsiveness, measured the amount of stress hormones in your blood level, pre and post meditation, and then also measure the mind wandering, the parts of the brain that cause mind wandering. All right. So here is a quick scenario before we dive into the attributes of mindful intelligence. So again, a typical situation for most of us leaders. Before mindful intelligence, let's assume that you are at a 9 a.m. board meeting and the discussion is around the Q3 numbers are down, and you are supposed to go and defend these numbers, or it is up to you. You are supposed to go and provide some defense of it. What happens? What happens without mindful intelligence? We are so tensed, our chest tightens, we are defensive thoughts, we frame arguments to push the blame onto somebody or defend, oh, it's not my fault, it was the somebody else lost change, that is the fault, or something did not happen in another department, that is the fault. So we look at it, right, and we always keep thinking, what is the next thought I need to speak out? What is the next thing, information I need to give? What is the next data point I should reel out so that it's not my fault, right? And we respond to whatever is happening. Oh yeah, we need to cut costs immediately. And it's all stress-driven decision making. And you have the team, you have to defend the team. And overall, either you take blame for the situation or you do not take ownership or responsibility. And it's again a blame game, right? Whereas post-mindful intelligence, the same meeting, how would you walk in? When you walk into the meeting, you're a lot more aware of the tension. You don't identify with it. You're more conscious, right? And then you look at the big picture, not at the silos where to see the problems or identify the problems. You look at the big picture, right? And then that is where the cognitive flexibility attribute activates, in the sense you're open to solutions, open to options. What can be done positively? What can be done constructively, right? Instead of just blaming others. And then in that higher level of awareness, you'll also look at the different patterns that were missed. Oh, we missed that. We missed that data point. We should have probably used that data point out here. We should have corrected it or taken stock of it a few weeks ago and then made sure some other changes happen. So we are a lot more open. We look at patterns, we identify patterns, we respond strategically, and then also look at how is the data, what is the data telling us at a macro level, right? Market shifts, opportunity identification, and then you come up with innovative solutions. So it's a lot more open, a lot more option driven, a lot more flexible in a meeting when your mindful intelligence level is higher than before. So what is mindful intelligence? As I mentioned, there are 5 attributes. We'll go through each one of these. Present moment awareness. What is present moment awareness? It's nothing but maintaining conscious attention on current reality rather than operating on autopilot. It's about being aware of the present moment. If you are listening, if you are speaking or listening to a coworker, if you are speaking to a peer, speaking to the boss, it's complete attention on what they are saying, what you need to listen. Similarly, if you are in a meeting, it's complete attention on the meeting, not attending the call and then going and looking at your emails and Excels, which most of us do. Right? Maintaining conscious attention on current reality. And mindful intelligence, when you are being present, when you are in the present moment, what researchers showed us is 23% improvement in sustained attention and 28% reduction in mind wandering. That means you are present in that particular meeting more fully, and you're open to options. You are seeing, you are in a better position to see the clear picture rather than wanting to see what your mind is just telling you. For example, one scenario during one-on-one with a struggling team member, you probably are already making a lot of judgments when you're talking to this person. You're in autopilot mode, you're thinking about the next meeting that is coming up in 30 minutes, but you've already made your arguments, you've already made your judgments in your mind, and you're going to tell this person, irrespective of whatever the other person says, you always have an opinion to convey. Whereas with present moment awareness, you read your body language, you read the other person's body language, you feel the energy in the room, right? And you are more open to inputs from the other person, and you ask that question that unlocks a real issue. Usually we always see those issues are real issues, which actually are not the real issues, right? The real issues, the real root cause gets lost in the whole noise that we deal with. So acting with present moment awareness in any situation, in a meeting, in decision making, in conversations with colleagues or subordinates or bosses adds to the leadership awareness or leadership intelligence. Attribute number 2, emotional regulation. What is emotional regulation? It's choosing your response consciously. Conscious choice and emotional responses rather than reactive patterns. If, for example, if you see a subordinate coming and complaining to you all the time, or there will be some clients whom we have judged to be a certain type of pattern, right? So our behavior, our reaction is always based on our pre-programmed or pre-learned things, and we always react from that. Whereas mindful intelligence, when you are emotionally regulated, you look at everything, every interaction as something new. You look at every interaction with a fresh pair of eyes, right? And then you kind of, because of present moment awareness means you don't carry the past or you don't think about the future in the particular moment. When you are doing that, you are a lot more clear about seeing things as they are. And then when you see things they are, there is a space between the trigger and the response, and basically you respond instead of reacting. For example, here a scenario, let's assume you are supposed to talk to a client who's threatening to leave after a product failure or a particular deadline was missed. Usually again what happens? The client is frustrated, he starts yelling at us, and then immediately we start defending. And then we also tell him, hey, it is because you didn't do, your team did not do A, B, C, D. That is why, so we start defending, because we need to kind of have all our guns clear, right? So usually it comes out of defensiveness. Usually it comes out of fear of someone or your manager asking you, why did this particular project go wrong? Whereas with emotional regulation, you're a lot more open. How do you practice it? Again, when you are in that emotionally regulated state, you notice, you observe your emotion rising. You don't allow your emotion to overtake you. You pause, you breathe, you choose the right response. You say, okay, I understand your frustration. Let's solve this together, right? So that calmness that comes in the interaction, and we've seen it time and again. We've also heard stories about professionals when they interact with that. And then a lot of times this also happens when you respond to email, right? A client or some other person sends you a nasty email. What is our immediate reaction? Immediate reaction is to type a nasty response or saying that, hey, you didn't do, or someone did not do it. But the same email, and then we repent, oh my God, why did I send the email? Whereas the situation on the other side could be totally different. In fact, one of my colleagues who talks about this particular incident, where he was in this particular situation where he had to respond to an email, or he was about to react to an email, but then he responded saying that, Mark, can we have a conversation? And then they had a conversation. When they had a conversation, that is when he understood the real problem. The real problem was not him or the other person, right? The real situation was something else, and they together jointly solved the situation. And he was saying that particular customer turned out to be a very good customer subsequently. So taking strategic decisions, allowing that space between trigger, stimulus, and response is what is emotional regulation. And 3, cognitive flexibility. What is cognitive flexibility? Usually we act, we think based on past programming. We call it as pre-programmed behavior. We call it as past rigid patterns. Hey, I've done it in the past, that works, let us do this. Anyone comes up with a wonderful idea, anyone comes up with a new way of doing things, we don't really care as much, right? So cognitive flexibility is the ability to shift perspectives, look at certain things from different perspectives, question assumptions, and generate creative solutions. That is cognitive flexibility. Let's take the scenario of an impossible deadline that your boss gives, or from a demanding client. Impossible deadline from a demanding client, right? Again, what do we do? Oh my God, that's not if you were in a mindset 1.0, or even some at the lower end of mindset 2.0, what you would say? Oh, that's impossible. We can't deliver in next 2 weeks. There's no way I can see that happening. Oh, he wants that's absolutely unfair. The client imposing the deadline was unfair, while he has a lot of things on his plate. He just wants to push us. He just wants to make us fail. These are the usual arguments, right? But then someone with cognitive flexibility will ask for options, will ask the client what is possible, what is it that you need, what are the priorities, look at it from different perspectives, look at it from the client's perspective, the client stakeholders' perspective, look at it from our stakeholders' perspective, look at it from our team's perspective, right? And then you probably could arrive at a solution, whereas you prioritize certain things and say, hey, these are the things which will be able to finish by your deadline, which is what you also promised to your stakeholders, which is what your stakeholders will also love, right? And then the remaining we'll do it in phase 2. So such a solution may not come upfront, but you'll have to be open, question assumptions, shift perspectives, and then look at possible options, look at possibilities, because there are unlimited possibilities out there. It's a question of attracting the right one. So people who have executed mindful intelligence have reported 60% improvement in creative problem solving. And attribute number 4, connected intelligence. What is connected intelligence? Connected intelligence is the realization that all things are connected, all people are connected. We look at things as complete systems, not in isolation. So we perceive patterns, we look at relationships between this problem and cause, and we look at leverage points. It's about the systems theory, right? So systems thinking, that's what we talk about as connected intelligence. You look at it as a whole, you don't look at it at a level of, as they say, you can't find a solution to a problem at the same level as the problem. You have to go 1 or 2 levels up and then look at the problem. Only then you'll be able to find a solution, a lasting solution. Let us say here the scenario that we want to talk about is 2 departments constantly at conflict. This happens in large enterprises, right? Or even smaller situations where there's a different way of rewarding performance, right? So what happens here when we need to do an analysis, we always look at cause and effect, right? We look at the cause, we look at the effect. But usually what happens is we miss what is the root cause. We try to fix problems at a narrow level, looking at things at a narrow level. Oh, this is because this conflict between 2 departments is because there's 2 people. Or because this group got the opportunity first to respond, or this group did not get the opportunity to respond. That's how we look at, right? Here is a case study which talks about how someone has dug deeper into the whole system of these 2 departments and found out, you could probably see a pattern on conflicting KPIs. The way each team is rewarded on their key performance indicators is conflict. Both are held to the same, so both are trying to own that particular metric, right? So if you look at it, see the pattern, conflicting KPIs, and then you understand the leverage. Oh, their incentive structure is what is the problem. You go ahead and tweak the KPIs, you go ahead and tweak the incentive structure, because that is what is causing the problems in the first place. Not just 2 people, not just 2 people not getting along together, or not just 2 situations where they are running into conflicts, right? So ideally what will happen, like you see a linear thinking is, the leader sends out an email, leader will do a town hall, or leader will call the 2 teams to the table and say, no, you have to cooperate, it's in the interest of the company, and we have to win together. All that motivational talk will happen. But then again, when people go back in the same situation when you don't identify the root cause. So the things is, why did this happen? What triggered that? What were the KPIs? So when you look at the whole picture together, that's when you realize solutions, right? That is when natural collaboration happens, when people see the connected nature of things. It could be between customers and our stakeholders. It could be different departments and customers. It could be different department or teams within our organization. The connection, a lot of people miss. They're mostly focused on their own department or their own project. All right, so that is about connected intelligence. And the last attribute is about intuitive insight. What is intuitive insight? It is accessing information beyond analytical thinking. It's where you feel. Intuition is nothing but you know you are right or you know you are wrong without knowing why. Usually what happens is in the current day environment, a lot of us make decisions based on data. We look at data and then make the decisions. Yes, data leads to analytical thinking or logical thinking, yes. But there are usually situations in our leadership career where you also need to add a sense of intuition, add a sense of feeling, add a sense of introspection. You feel whether it's right or wrong, right? And then I've done that. I keep talking about it. I walked away from a business deal because I didn't feel things right after a conversation with the customer before we were going to submit our bids. So here is a scenario again. So strategic decision. For example, let's assume a leader is having to take a decision on whether to expand to Asia or consolidate domestically. So you might start with analyzing the data, and spreadsheets say, okay, Asia expansion makes sense. There is enough market, enough money to make. Competition is low, or the regulations will allow us to make expand easily and grow fast. But then there will be a sense of, as the leader uses some of the prior attributes, looks at emotional regulation, looks at multiple options, tries to connect different things. And then as more amount of information is allowed for him to feel, then he senses the timing is probably not right now. There is some inner sense that will tell him the timing is not right. And the market, we don't need to rush right now because the market is anyway going to expand. These are the inherent things. A lot of it comes through experience and also through kind of intuition because of the way you connected different things, right? Mostly what happens is when we are rushed to take a decision, when you are reacting, when we are in that race for that reward, when you're in the race for the outcome, we don't listen to the feelings, we don't listen to that intuition saying. We look at the data. Yes, tomorrow if somebody asks also, I can always point to the data, right? So that's a blame game I can do. So people just analyze the data and then say, go ahead with it. Whereas with mindful intelligence, you are in that calm space, you're open to possibilities, you don't need to rush right now, and you also understand the limitless nature of intelligence. It will help you. If not now, later also there will be some things happen that will come and help you to make this decision, right? So in this particular scenario, a mindfully intelligent leader will probably, once he feels the team is not ready. So yeah, going to Asia, expanding to Asia is all good, but my capacity is not okay. I don't have the team to deliver it. I can go and open a branch, but if I don't have the team to deliver it, it's no point. So he takes his decision of building capability first and then expanding, right? And then he might discover perfect market entry 18 months later, and he discovers that that's the perfect timing. Now he has the capacity to deliver to the demand, and everything is fine. So intuitive insight comes from the integration of left and right hemisphere. Usually, a lot of our logical, analytical thinking happens due to our left brain. Whereas all of us know right brain is a lot more intuitive. That is why they say all leaders should have a mix, a balance of left and right brain activity. Right brain activity in the sense of writing, sports, art, activities in art, right? So you know a lot of successful leaders dabble in all these things. There are only a certain set of leaders who think that you work, only that will make you succeed, right? So, and wiser decision making where you add a sense of feeling, sense of intuition to data. It's not just purely data driven and non-reactive and not siloed. So each of these attributes build on one another. I mean, it's when I talk, though I gave you the scenarios for that particular attribute, all scenarios use all the attributes of mindful intelligence. That's how mindful intelligence works. So we talked about the mindset zone, zone 1 to zone 2, right? So leaders, this is again a case study, again a fictional case study, right? A leader who is in zone 1 is besieged with chronic stress, is kind of has this issue of turnover, team turnover 35%, reactive decision making causing project delays, and then completely exhausted. But if that person goes through mindful intelligence, the practices that we prescribe in mindful intelligence, like 20 minutes daily meditation, completely present in meetings, consider multiple perspectives before decisions, right? Around 6 to 8 weeks, he moves on to a higher level of awareness, mindset 1.2.0 or mindset 3.0, right? His stress is down, clarity is up, team turnover drops to 12%. And you'd see within 2 months of practice, 23% performance improved. Again, this is an extrapolated number based on published data. And similarly, a leader in zone 2 will transform to zone 3 due to the development and cultivation of the mindful intelligence attributes. So zone 2 leader is typically consistent performer, but a leader at a zone 2 works hard, focuses, puts in a lot more effort. And they might feel I'm putting in so much effort, but things are not moving. I'm always continuously working in a stressful mode. If one thing dies down, there's another situation I need to work on. If something I solve one thing, there's another problem that comes up, right? So he's in this treadmill of stress, anxiety, and work pressure. So once this full integration happens through mindful intelligence, then he'll start realizing he will have done a lot more work with less effort. That's what mindful intelligence allows you to do. So for example, he could realize results like sales team performance is plus 47%, and own stress level is a lot reduced. Excellence stopped being something I did and became something I am. So you move from doing to being. When you are in that being mode, your energies are up, your awareness is up, your consciousness is up, and a lot of things that happen automatically, effortlessly, without you having to put in effort, with similar results or greater results. And there are enough case studies, corporate case studies. You can also look up the web or ask your favorite Gen AI chatbot. So there are these published case studies around Aetna, the health insurance company in the US, where they've realized just by practicing mindfulness, they did a large mindfulness program for their employees. So they realized stress-related illnesses and stress-related absenteeism reduced. And they talk about a $3,000 per employee healthcare savings in 1 year. Productivity gain of 62 minutes. The study talks about how they measure. And an ROI of 300 to 400% in 1.5 years. So it's a 1.5 year study. And then Google, as you know, has this program called Search Inside Yourself. And they do a lot of mindfulness activities. They even do a lot of consciousness enhancing activities for their employees. Creative skills, right? So innovation metrics up by 34%. Collaborative effectiveness 29%, and satisfaction, employee satisfaction by 41%. General Mills is another area where they did a large mindfulness program through meditation, right? And then what they say is decision quality improved by 35%, strategic thinking improved by 42%, and team engagement improved by 38%. Again, it isn't soft skills. It's not about training through some horizontal skills. It's all about elevating your level, elevating your awareness, elevating your mindfulness, elevating your consciousness. So here is the comparison just to summarize. As we go through this journey, as everyone goes through this journey of moving from mindset 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0, right? Focus improves. Focus moves from, traditionally we are all focused on external skills, whereas with mindful intelligence, we are focusing more on developing the internal skills or internal operating system. The method, traditional training happens is they give you a lot of tools, a lot of techniques. Do this to write your reports, do this to communicate, start with a particular incident, narrate a story. So all these external skills. Whereas what we do is upgrade consciousness, upgrade awareness. And time frame is program based. So you undergo in a traditional leadership program, they are like 2-day workshops or 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8-week programs happen. And after that program, nobody cares, nobody bothers what's happening out there. But with mindful intelligence, it's continuous development. Though we offer a 6-week program, Our app allows you to kind of be in that state, practicing it day by day. That is the whole objective of the app that we built. And the result is, whereas traditional methods give you temporary improvement, mindful intelligence allows you to have sustained transformation for a longer duration. Stress increases with traditional methods, dramatically decreases with mindful intelligence methods, and leadership feels very effortful, very strained in a traditional mode, whereas a leader bestowed with mindful intelligence, who's cultivated mindful intelligence, feels things effortless. And there are a lot of cases, a lot of instances among several of us who've been practicing meditation where you think you need to solve a particular problem, but the problem gets solved, either the person involved in the problem or someone else comes and solves the problem. Right? You don't need to even get involved. There's a lot of time saved. And we also keep talking about it, right? So you spend time in meditation to make time for a lot of other things, in contrast to looking at the time spent in meditation as something that you wasted or you spent, right? So the difference is traditional trainings adds more to your plate, whereas mindful intelligence changes the plate. The training still stick, but changes the plate, changes the operating system on which those apps are installed. And the beauty about mindful intelligence is, though it starts off with individuals, the effect, the impact rubs on the team, and then as the team starts enhancing their awareness, increasing their psychological safety, innovation accelerates, the organization benefits. As the organization benefits, the industry benefits, right? So again, there is a research finding where one leader with developed mindful intelligence measurably impacts 50 plus people in their influence sphere. You're not just upgrading yourself, you're upgrading your entire system, not your internal operating system, but the people you work with the people in your company, in your organization. Just by you attending meetings in different departments, you start having an impact with other people, other things. So dear friends, the competitive landscape, as we mentioned, the old guard, there is a choice that we can make in terms of continuing to do our ways, the old ways, or trying to run with the new ways in the new reality. And how do we cultivate mindful intelligence? Through meditation. That's a master practice that we talk about. Meditation builds concentration, meditation builds mindfulness, and meditation enhances awareness, amongst a lot of other things. We will get into a practice of 10 minutes of meditation. I'll explain more about it. And then mindful transition between meetings, before meetings, just being conscious, being aware of your body, taking a 30-second pause, taking that conscious, being aware of your breathing between decisions, right? Just by resting, being aware of the position that you are sitting, right? So you bring awareness to yourself. And of course, reflection or wisdom, right? What level did I operate from? What capabilities am I developing? All this is possible through the app that we talk about. And there's a lot of science that that are out there. What does meditation or mindful intelligence cause to your brain, right? I think, as I mentioned earlier, our prefrontal cortex, the energy and the regulation, the thickness of the prefrontal cortex increases. Our hippocampus, the seat of memory and learning, increases. Our self-awareness increases. Amygdala, or the emotional brain that is responsible for stress, responsible for things like what will other people think about me, that decreases. The decrease in that what causes decrease in reactivity as well. What strengthens white matter connection between regions, ability to use both parts of your brain a lot more frequently, neural network integration, and of course responding instead of reacting, responding with intelligence rather than reacting from past patterns. And meditation also is allowed, like Google, a lot of case studies in Google, you move into this gamma waves, you move into this gamma state, your brain gets into the gamma state, which allows your brain to operate in what we call as whole brain or gamma coherence. So using your left and right brain together in creative activities. That's where art and analysis combine, right? Logic and intuition combine. So that results in creative solutions, that results in creative ideas. Suddenly you'll be surprised when you go into a meeting, suddenly you'll ask a question that will trigger the thoughts, trigger the activities, trigger the responses that lead to an effective solution compared to your usual questions that we normally ask. So the executive presence, you develop that executive presence. What appears as charisma or intuition is actually integrated brain function. So how do we cultivate mindful intelligence? So here is where the platform that we built called Be Supermind. You see that on my background as well. So Be Supermind is a platform on which we develop meditation apps. So Be Supermind is also an app which allows you, it's a mindset upgrade app that combines neuroscience, quantum physics, and breath mindfulness meditation, designed for leaders, teams, and seekers. So there are a lot of programs in there, right from beginning meditation. Someone who don't know meditation, who does not know meditation, will be able to learn meditation. There is a short 2-week program in the app, and there are other programs which you can sign up and register. This app is available for download for the first 3 weeks. There's a free trial, so you can try out. But more importantly, more than these initial programs, this app allows you to continue the practice of meditation, mindfulness continuously. So it's gamified. You can see your streaks. It provides you nudges. It provides you notifications. And there is also a AI chatbot that will answer your questions on meditation or any of the topics that the courses talk about. So this is available on iOS and Android, on the Play Store and the App Store, and also available on the web for seamless access. So finally, here is a choice that all of us have to make. Continue with our existing operating system, but hope and pray for different results, or upgrade our operating system and live with miraculous results. That's a choice that we need to make. The choice is between continuing the way you operate, or do you want to elevate your level of awareness, elevate your level of consciousness to a higher level? And how do you do it? Through the app Be Supermind, which allows you to it takes you to multiple programs. What you receive: effortless excellence. Excellence is nothing but effortless performance with greater rewards. Sustainable performance, natural innovation, inspiring influence, and meaningful contribution. The truth is available to everyone, but chosen by a few. Are you the person who chooses mindful intelligence, who chooses a different way of living, who chooses who chooses to upgrade your operating system, your mental operating system? The choice is your edge. The choice gives you the advantage of operating differently at a different level. All right. So with that, here is the contact for if any of you are interested in doing this program for your teams, or want to kind of try things out, you need to ask someone a question. Here is a Chief Growth Officer who is also on the call, Raji, so that raji@besupermind.com, or you can respond to the email that you might have received as well. Before we dive into meditation, so here is what we will cover in the next webinar. So we saw what is mindful intelligence, 5 attributes, but how do you apply in everyday corporate scenarios? We have a framework called 4P and A's, 4 P's. So how do you operate? There are certain sutras, there are certain principles each of these have that allow you that you can use when you're making every decision. Operating from presence, looking at different perspectives, focusing on the process, not the outcome, looking at exploring different possibilities, right? Being adaptable to situations. I mean, being able to flow with the situations rather than holding the rigid environment, rigid thinking, right? Power to create, power of conscious choice, and allowing wisdom to emerge, allowing things to happen through intuition, and emergence also situations happen. So the 7 pillars of applying mindful intelligence is what we will speak in the next webinar. So before we dive into meditation, do we take any questions? Any questions from anyone? All right, so let's dive into meditation. After that, if you have any questions, we can take up. Let me include sound. All right, this meditation is very So some of you might know this practice of meditation. The meditation that we're going to practice is called breath mindfulness meditation, a breath awareness meditation. And all we do is, as you see in the picture, clasp your hands, clasp your fingers, cross your feet at your ankle, and all you do is bring your attention to your nose and start observing your breath. As you continue to observe your breath, your mind calms down. While that happens, you will also be distracted by thoughts. You will also be distracted by other thoughts, other things, other sounds, other noises. So what you do is you bring your attention back to your breathing. Every time you feel, you recognize that you're distracted, you bring your attention back to your breathing. And I'll play a 10-minute guided meditation. So let's dive into a 10-minute practice of meditation, dear friends.
Dear friends, let's go into breath mindfulness meditation. With your fingers into fingers, resting your hands comfortably in your lap, with your eyes closed, specs removed. Observe your normal, natural in-breath and the out-breath. Our goal is to empty the mind and be in that state of emptiness. When we observe our breath, the mind becomes empty of all thought. No forceful inhalation, no forceful exhalation. Observe your normal, natural in-breath and the out-breath, and allow yourself to slowly become empty of all thoughts in your mind. And as your mind is becoming empty, allow yourself to experience that emptiness inside of you, all around you. become one with that in-breath and the out-breath, and allow yourself to slowly experience that emptiness all around. The more you experience that emptiness, the more you channelize that energy into the gender's present moment. And the more your body functions at its natural best. All emptiness is energy. Become aware of that emptiness, that energy, spreading far and wide. Friends, at this time, I would like you to express gratitude to all things and everybody. Your gratitude to your parents, your teachers, your mentors, your family, friends, colleagues, everybody, to this grand nature, to everything you use, to yourself, and to this intelligent universe. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. Slowly, whenever you're ready, and keep your hands on your eyes for 5 seconds, and then you may open your eyes.
All right. So if you have any questions, please type in the chat window, or you can unmute yourself and ask. What's the paid version fees for Be Supermind? Is it the same as Buddha CEO app? The paid version fee, there's a monthly fee of 500 rupees or an annual fee of 5,000 rupees. That's a subscription fees for the Be Supermind. Yeah, it's almost same as the Buddha CEO app. So Buddha CEO app, though, we've not enabled all the premium features that are available on the Be Supermind app. All right, my dear friends, thank you. Thanks for joining this webinar number 2, and we'll see you all and more in the next webinar. Thank you and have a nice evening.